is Renee Thomas. I'm the lead caseworker in Cumberland Valley for Elderly Services. And I've been with CAP since 2008, so it'd be 17 years in August. Where I'd come out of the nursing home and went into Rainbow Respite, I was overjoyed because I was helping people live instead of helping the elderly into life. You know, like in the nursing home, a lot of them passes on. But at Rainbow Respite, we work with individuals with disabilities, and it was helping them live, you know, to get to their full potential and stuff. And it just, it was a whole different world, you know. We would take the individuals out in the community to the movies or bowling, out to eat, to museums, or to the park, out fishing and stuff. And then we'd come back and prepare supper, and we would let the participants help us and be a part of that. And it was just, it wasn't like a job. It was like being with family, you know, just everyday stuff that you do with your family. It wasn't like work. It was just living and helping individuals be happy. There was this guy, and he would come probably once a month to the center, and his name was Mason, and he called me Pops Renee. He was just a joy to be around. He didn't talk a whole lot, but his actions, we knew, you know, that he was happy to be there. And it was always a joy to have Mason there to visit. And there was another lady, and she called me Renee. I took her to the park to see the ducks, and we fed them bread and stuff. And even after Rainbow Respite closed down, it'd been 5 or 6 years, and I seen her and her mom at a Walmart, and she goes, "Renee." But we just had fun with all of them, and they called it camp. It wasn't like their caregiver was bringing them there so they could get a break. But we didn't make them feel like they wasn't wanted. We made them feel loved because we did love them. And they would say, "We're going to camp next week. You know, we're going to be there." I have a special needs son. And he taught me so much patience and love for individuals with disabilities. And it helped me be a better mother, you know. And he did attend Rainbow Respite, and every once in a while, and he had never been left outside of family. But I knew he would be well cared for and stuff at Rainbow Respite. And when he came, you know, they had to keep their room clean. They had to make their bed and put their plate away after they ate and stuff. And he done all that. He kept up with that. And it was just such a joy seeing him around other individuals his age and the way they communicated. And my son is nonverbal, but he found a way, you know, to use hand gestures and sign language and stuff to communicate with the other individuals. It just taught me that much more patience and love. In my younger years, never did I think that I would be where I'm at today, serving others, being a caregiver. But I lost my mom and dad both while working here at CAP. And I have a little hole in my heart because I miss them. But I feel like God has given me all these people to help fill that hole. And it's like some of them could be my sisters, my mom, my aunt, my grandma, but they're my friends. Every time I go visit, I feel like, you know, I'm visiting family. And I feel like they feel the same way because they'll have coffee made, or sometimes they'll try to cook for you, or you know, okay, what are we going to talk about today? Or we'll talk about gardening and just everyday living in their lives. And then when we're in there, we have the opportunity to observe, and see if they need anything. And then they get comfortable, and then they can ask, if because they trust us that we will help and do what we can. But I feel like my family just gets bigger and bigger. And my son and my brother's community volunteers. They'll go along with us to deliver food. They'll go to our events. They have met a lot of people, and they've met a lot of friends. They've become friends with all of them. And when we go, they're like, "How's Frank Brandon? And what are they doing today? When are you gonna bring them to see us?" And it is just awesome to work for an organization where you can bring your family in, and work with them and just watch how they change, how it's impacted their lives of serving others. And I hear the participants talking about how handy they were to help them inside the door or to fix them a plate. And it's a privilege to just be one happy family. I'm sure there's been a lot of changes, but as far as what I do and how we serve our participants and stuff, I feel like it just keeps, getting better and better. So I've not seen any downfalls. And the other programs, if somebody needs home repair or food, those other programs step up and they do their part. So, and that's happened ever since I've been here. So as far as seeing people come and go, I've not really seen any changes, except we keep striving to do better, to serve more, or what else is out there that we're not doing? What are we missing? Is there something out there that we could also add to our list to do? It motivates me to come to work every day, knowing that I'm in human services and I will be serving others and doing the Lord's work. Because I've always said, if you see any good in me, it's because of God. I'm just a vessel. We recently, this year, had a participant pass away. She was one of our treasured participants. She'd been on the program for several years, even before I started. And she didn't have any family. And she was living independent until she got sick and went to the nursing home. And she worried about her final wishes as far as her funeral arrangements and stuff. And I was able to ensure her that she was going to be taken care of. And when we went to her funeral, it was all Cap, her Cap family, because she had been so dependent on us to help her live independently. We, the community volunteers, Carolyn, the director of human services, her daughter, which was a AmeriCorps member, my brother and son, community volunteers and ACNs from Jackson County came to sing. And it was just, if it hadn't been for Cap, there'd been nobody there with her. So it was an honor to be her family there. So we go to the cemetery, and the community volunteers and a couple of the staff employees was the pallbearers. And I said, we done it. She didn't want to worry about being taken care of. So we all done it together to make sure she was took care of. I would take her every year to get her flowers so she could put flowers on her husband and son and grandson's grave. So this year, Memorial Day, I'm taking them for her. I mean, where else could you do that at? to just be so bonded with somebody that they trust you to help them plan their end of life services. But yeah, I mean, we looked up and it was, I think there was 11 or 12 of us there. And, you know, it was sad that she didn't have no family, blood family, but she had us. Little Miss Gail. I did in-home respite with Gail, and we had a good time. I would usually stay 4 to 5 hours with her, and so she loved Scooby-Doo. So, and I would try to find every Scooby-Doo book, coloring book. I'd go to the library and get that, and then she'd like for me to read the Bible to her. So she would sit, she'd want me to color, and she would, you know, tell me what color to color what, and I'd read her Scooby-Doo books. But when I read her the Bible and pronounced the words wrong, she would just laugh. Sometimes I would hold her, and we'd look out the window at all the hummingbirds, because her dad had all these feeders. So we'd sit and watch all them. There was like 15 hummingbirds at one time. And one time she got real still. And I said, Gail, you okay? Are you okay? Because I was holding her, you know, belly down in my lap. And I looked down and I seen her grinning. I said, are you pulling my leg? And she just laughed. And at her funeral, one of my coworkers went with me. And the family asked me if I would, you know, go and speak and talk about Gail. And it was probably about 30 minutes. I had 30 minutes. I was so nervous. And I just sat there the whole time, and I'm like, Lord, help me do this in this crowd and just show her honor. And I was able to tell them of the stories, you know, of how me and Gail had fun, and how she loved her dad. She was always happy, you know, to see him walk back through the door, and to know he was okay and safe. I just prayed that the Lord just let me say good, and I did. He helped me put the words out there. How much, you know, that we love Gail and appreciate her, and she was well loved. And she was 52. We were looking for individuals to put on the program, people in need. So I went to an adult daycare center here, and they said, we have a referral. There's this lady that brings her husband here for 30 minutes while she runs to Save-A-Lot to get groceries, because he's not eligible for the program and she don't have no family to help with him. So Carolyn, she's Human Services Director now, she went with me. And when we knocked on Faye's door, when she opened it, Faye said, the Lord has sent you here. She said, I have been praying for help. So we go in and we meet, you know, get to talking to her and meet her husband. And I went in their home for 5 years. He got so bad that she called hospice in. And he wasn't really hospice, but it was like palliative care. And it was a volunteer. And he told his wife, the man told his wife, said, I just want Renee to come. Said, she's with me every minute of the day that she's here. And said that other lady sits in the living room crochets. So, and that's, I mean, I didn't ignore them. I mean, if they wanted to be in the bed, as long as they was awake, then there's always something to do with them, you know, to make them feel wanted and needed and loved, and not feel like they've been left, you know, by their caregiver, and just make it a happy time for them to see you come. And that was my goal, you know, just to make them appreciate the time with somebody else besides their caregiver. Because when you're caregiving for somebody 24/7, you need a break. And that's what I think I done. It's just give both people relaxation and some time away. And then I would go in their homes, and this little guy was taking care of his wife. And he was so tired, he didn't have any help. And he said, Renee, how long are you going to be here today? And I said, 4 hours. He said, do you care if I just lay down and go to sleep? And I said, that's fine. And he said, wake me up when when it's time for you to go, just wake me up. He slept the whole time. And there's been several that says the Lord has sent you here. Whether it be they just need a break, or if they need somebody to talk to because they've lost their son. There was a little lady in Macquarie. They didn't know if she would let me come to do in-home. It wasn't in-home respite, it was elderly services. But they're like, Renee, she's quiet. She might not let you in. So I went in and met her. We got to talking. She told me about her son that passed away that had all these needs, and how she was the only one that cared for him and didn't have no help. And I opened up and told her a little about my son, and we connected because she knew I understood that she was caring for her son. She lost her only son, and she didn't have nobody to talk to about it. But I came, and she had somebody, she had a friend. So when it was time for me to leave Macquarie County and come back to Rockcastle, I had to tell her. And her birthday was coming up. And her favorite cake was carrot cake. So I took the community volunteers, my brother and son, because she'd met them. And I went to Kroger's, and there was one little small carrot cake. So I got the cake, we got candles, and I took her a meal from Kentucky Fried Chicken, and we went and seen her. And as soon as we come through the door, we started singing happy birthday, and she seen that cake, and she said, well, I'll put on a pot of coffee, and we'll just celebrate. And she started crying. She said, I have never had a birthday party before. And it was special to her. It was just a little cake, but they'd rather see you, their person to come to visit, than a cake or a meal or anything. But just to know that made her, she wasn't crying because she was sad, she was crying because she was happy because somebody cared enough to come and see her and visit her on her birthday. And she goes, can you stay and have a piece of that cake? And I thought, wow, it's awful small. There's 4 of us, but they're good size. So she asked me to put a pot of coffee on, so I put a pot of coffee on, and we drank coffee. And after she ate her meal, we had coffee and ate a piece of birthday cake with her. And she still talks about that. That's been 2 years ago. It's unbelievable. I've got this little sign here. Do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. That is just, I'm glad whoever come up with that did, because, that's how working for CAP is. It's not like work. You do what you love because you receive so much love back. Because it's hard for me to humble myself to sit here and say what all I do, because I know I don't do it by myself. I do it with the God's help. I couldn't do it without Him. But I just hope and pray that I make a difference in somebody's life out there. And it motivates me. It makes me feel closer to God to know that I'm His little helper down here, helping Him take care of the elderly or anybody else that I can in the community. And it just, I've never dreaded a day of work. I always want to get up and go, and see what kind of difference that me and the Lord can make.